Hi, my name is Tamara, and you're watching Things Even a Monkey Should Know. Thank you for joining me today. My hope is that these videos will help you do some of the small but important fix-it jobs around your house that you may not know you can do. It's the little things that count, right? I'm not a professional. I'm just a girl who has found that there are a lot of things I can do that could cost in the hundreds, sometimes even in the thousands of dollars if I had to call someone else to do it. Today I'm going to be recovering the Formica surface of a cabinet. You may have old and or worn Formica countertops or cabinets which you wish to resurface. It is actually a lot easier than you might think. So let's get started. So the list of things that we'll need today is a little bit longer than usual, but it should be things that you should have around your house. So in order of appearance, you will need to have a sander, and if you don't have a sander, you can always use just plain old sandpaper, which you need to have plain old sandpaper around too, but this just speeds up the process. This is a little finishing sander that I got, and I think it cost me about $30, and it has been well worth its cost. So you'll be wanting to have about an 80 grit sandpaper, nothing more than 100 for sure, because this is just going to help your job. So I have the leftover paper from what I had put on that. You will need to have some kind of breathing apparatus just so that you're not breathing in the dust that you're creating. And you may also, depending on where you're doing your work, you may need to have some plastic to cover nearby things so that they do not get dusty. The next thing that you'll need some kind of a cleaner. Just an all-purpose cleaner is good, and a rag. I use Myers, but you know, there's 409 or anything else. You will need to have some acetone. Yuck. So along with the acetone, you'll want a little piece of rag that you can just throw away. And because I am never a big proponent of sticking my hands directly into chemicals, even if it is acetone, I know ladies use these to take their nail polish off all the time, but still gross. Just have a glove. You will also need a good glue, and my favorite is this Loctite PL. It can glue just about anything, so helpful. And I'm gluing, I think I neglected to mention, I'm gluing stainless steel on top of my Formica today. You will need to have a caulk gun for if you have Loctite or whatever adhesive you choose. You will need to have just a little bottle of plain old water. So you will also need something to clamp whatever you're covering your Formica with. So depending on where it is, you may need just some little regular clamps. Mine is actually going to be vertical, kind of a pain, but whatever. So I've set up, I have some weights, and I have a big box of kitty litter to help hold the metal onto the side of the cabinet. And if you have, as I do, let me show you. This is actually the side of the cabinet I'll be doing, so see, there's a bit of space here at the bottom, so I've just made a little platform for the metal to sit on, and also for my box of heaviness to sit on. The last thing, of course, is whatever you're going to be covering your Formica with, whether it's another piece of Formica or a sheet of stainless steel like I'm using, or anything else. Now, something really great about this stainless, obviously I have many talents, but I am not talented enough to cut precisely and bend a piece of steel. And there's this really great place close by that does laser jet cutting. They do laser cutting. They don't do it with a printer. And they do water jet cutting. And they actually laser cut this stainless for me. and it's precise down to like within 1/100th of an inch or something, just really ridiculously precise. And the great thing about those places is that you can get, if there's a place that does both, you can get pretty much anything cut there that you need to. You can take in steel, you can take plastic, you can take Formica, just anything you can think of. I was actually quite pleasantly surprised at how much they can do. And they also have a lot of different materials that they'll sell you to cut things from. Now, I was lucky. I happened to have a big sheet of stainless here at my house already, so I just took it in and got them to cut what I needed from it, and they were great. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to knock off the excess shine off of this Formica and make it, just rough it up so that my adhesive will have something to adhere to. And I am going to do that. I'm going to start out by using this sander, and I will probably wind up just around the edges with the regular sandpaper, the manual sandpaper, because I don't really want to scratch the crap out of the wall or the bottom of the cabinet or anything like that. So make sure that you put on your breathing protection so that you're not breathing in all this lovely dust that you're going to be creating. And then we'll start. Now, if it so happens that you have any waviness in your counters or your cabinet, which I did have that problem with a few of them, you will need to get a heavier duty sander to take care of that, because you want the whole surface to be even when you're done. You want a good flat surface. You don't want one that goes, because that's not going to look, it's not going to look much better when it's covered by something new as it did whenever it still had the old stuff on it. I'm going to finish up my sanding just here along the wall. Now, there are people who are going to tell you, oh, this will never work because you need to remove the old Formica before you can glue anything on top of it. Well, if your old Formica is peeling up already, then yes, it needs to either be sanded off until it's, you get to some part that's still stuck really well, or it needs to be removed completely. But often that's going to really damage your counters or your cabinets to pull it off. Now, if you have some Formica that's peeling up already, you can take a heat gun and you can heat it up and finish peeling it off. Easy. But if it's still stuck on really well, like this stuff is, then it's much better to just sand it down and stick something over it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and I'm going to clean off some of the excess dust that I made. Okay, the next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to take and put on your glove and have an extra big towel here just to make sure I don't spill. And I want to wipe this down with acetone just in case there's any kind of a finish on it that the sanding didn't get off, or if there's any greases or oils or anything like that. I'm going to actually use the acetone for this, and I'm going to wipe down the back of the stainless steel with it for the same reason, because especially whenever you send something out to be cut, often it'll come back and it will be coated with some kind of an oil, or it's possible that it will be anyways. Alright, so this has a ton of fingerprints, which, may or may not affect the adhesive, but why not get them off since we can, right? There is some oil I can see that probably came from the machine. Now we're ready for glue. Now that we have everything all beautiful and clean, I'm going to apply the glue, and I did cut a pretty big hole in the end of this tip this time because I have a pretty big surface area to cover. I am being pretty extra liberal because I don't want this stuff coming off anytime in the near future, or even the distant future. Now what it says is when you have a non-porous substrate, like stainless, going on to a porous or another potentially non-porous, which I don't know how porous Formica is, but it seems like it's not very much. So it says in the directions, and I have found this to be very helpful, to spray it down with some water, just a bit. Oops. So it says to mist it. So I have been doing that with very good results. Okay, now we're ready to put it on. So you want to grab your piece of metal, shove it into place. Oh, I might have my a little too high. And I kind of like to squeeze it around just a little bit, if possible. That's actually pretty tight, so there's no squeezing that. Never mind. And then I'm going to take, I actually cut a piece of plywood to butt up against it, because the more things that you have that can help hold it into place. Oh, dummy. Never mind, that one's not quite the right size. I used it for the other sides, but it'll still help. Anyways, the more things that you have to help hold this into place, the better off you're going to be. Just trying to make this happen with whatever I can here. So far I've had pretty good luck. I know looks like a very weird way to clamp it, and I'm sure that there are better ways, but I'm using things that I have around the house. So we've done pretty good so far. And I've got just a little bit of space up there at the top, and I do kind of like clamping on with these also, any chance I get. Don't think I've got the room. Oh, yes I do. Now, I'm really looking forward to 24 hours from now. Hey, remember me? Well, it's 24 hours later now, and I'm so excited because I finally get to take all this crap off and take the film off, and we get to see what this actually looks like. Well, that's a good sign. I took the supports out from under it and nothing fell. That looks pretty fantastic. So I hope you've enjoyed learning today how to glue slippery stainless steel onto slippery Formica successfully. And if there's some area of your house that you want to dress up a little bit, gluing Formica onto Formica or anything similar, I hope that you now feel like you're better equipped to do it, because I know you can. So until next time, have a nice life, stay warm, and I'll see you soon.